The mystery attacker just unmasked himself on Friday Night Smackdown, and the identity is so earth-shattering that it's going to change WWE forever. This wasn't Triple H revealing him. This wasn't security catching him. This wasn't investigators exposing him. The mystery attacker voluntarily removed his own mask in the middle of the Smackdown ring and revealed a face that sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. The motivations behind months of terror, the reasons for targeting specific superstars, and the true identity of the person who paralyzed Braun Breaker have finally been exposed, and if you're not absolutely stunned by who this person is and why they did what they did, then you missed the most explosive and game-changing moment in SmackDown history. This reveal doesn't just solve a mystery, it redefines WWE's entire landscape. The unmasking happened during the main event segment of Friday Night SmackDown when Nick Aldis called for a mandatory roster meeting in the ring. Every SmackDown superstar was required to be present, standing around the ring as the general manager prepared to make what he called the most important announcement in SmackDown history. The tension was palpable as wrestlers wondered what was happening. Nick Aldis got on the microphone and said, "For months, we've been hunting the mystery attacker. We've investigated, we've gathered evidence, and tonight I'm prepared to reveal everything." But before Aldis could continue, the arena lights went completely dark. The familiar sign that the mystery attacker was present sent chills through everyone. When the lights came back on, there was a figure standing at the top of the entrance ramp wearing the black mask and outfit. But this time was different. The mystery attacker was standing in plain view, not hiding in shadows or attacking from behind. The masked figure slowly walked down the ramp with purpose and confidence. The SmackDown roster immediately surrounded the ring, creating a barrier to prevent the mystery attacker from escaping. Security moved into position. The mystery attacker was trapped with nowhere to run. This was it, the moment of truth that everyone had been waiting months to see. The mystery attacker stepped into the ring and stood face to face with Nick Aldis. The general manager demanded, "Take off the mask. Show everyone who you are. Your reign of terror ends now." The confrontation was intense and the entire wrestling world was holding its collective breath. And then, in a moment that will be replayed forever, the mystery attacker reached up with both hands and slowly removed the mask. The reveal was deliberate and dramatic, and when that face was finally exposed, the gasp from the crowd was deafening. The mystery attacker was revealed to be Gunther. Yes, the ring general himself, the former Intercontinental Champion, one of WWE's most dominant performers, was the person behind months of attacks. The shock was total and immediate. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had predicted this. The SmackDown roster looked stunned. Wrestlers who had been friends with Gunther were standing there in disbelief. The crowd was a mixture of shock, confusion, and growing anger. How could the ring general, a wrestler known for his discipline and honor, be capable of such cowardly attacks? Gunther stood in the center of that ring and grabbed a microphone. Instead of showing remorse or trying to escape, the ring general looked defiant and proud of what he'd done. Gunther said, "You all look so shocked. But you shouldn't be. Everything I did was necessary to preserve the integrity of professional wrestling." The crowd started booing loudly, but Gunther raised his voice and continued, "Braun Breaker, Austin Theory, Logan Paul, these are not wrestlers. They are sports entertainers, influencers, legacy acts who haven't earned their positions. I attacked them to send a message that real wrestling, European wrestling, mat-based wrestling is superior to the garbage that WWE promotes." The arrogance and superiority complex in Gunther's words was stunning. The ring general continued, "I am from a tradition of real wrestlers, Walter Gunther in Austria, the European strong style that built this business. When I see someone like Braun Breaker get opportunities because of his name, or Logan Paul succeed because of his fame, it disgusts me. I took action where others only complained." Nick Aldis interrupted, looking furious. The GM said, "Gunther, you paralyzed Braun Breaker. You nearly killed Austin Theory. You terrorized WWE for months. And you think you were defending wrestling. You're not a guardian of tradition, you're a criminal." The condemnation was absolute, but Gunther showed no remorse. The ring general said, "Braun Breaker will heal. Austin Theory will recover. But the message I sent will last forever. WWE and its fans now understand that if you don't respect real wrestling, if you take shortcuts and rely on fame instead of skill, there are consequences. The twisted justification was chilling. And then Gunther dropped another bombshell. He said, "And I didn't act alone. There are others who share my vision, who believe as I do that WWE has lost its way." The implication that there were more attackers or conspirators sent shockwaves through everyone. Gunther then called out to the Smackdown roster and said, "Some of you agree with me. You know I'm right. You've watched undeserving people get pushed ahead of you. Who among you has the courage to stand with me?" The challenge to the locker room was explosive. For a terrifying moment, it looked like some wrestlers might actually join Gunther. But then Sheamus stepped forward from the crowd of wrestlers. The Celtic warrior got in the ring, stood face to face with Gunther, and said, "Gunther, you and I have had wars in the ring. I respect your ability, but what you did, attacking people from behind, paralyzing Braun Breaker, that's not about defending wrestling. That's about your ego and your jealousy." Other wrestlers started applauding Sheamus and agreeing. Drew McIntyre stepped forward and said, "Gunther, you claim to represent European wrestling. You disgrace it. Real warriors face their opponents head-on, not from behind a mask." The locker room was uniting against Gunther. Gunther looked around at the roster turning against him and his expression shifted from confident to defensive. The ring general realized that his message hadn't inspired others, it had unified them against him. Security moved in to arrest Gunther, but he fought back, taking down several officers. What happened next was cathartic for everyone. The SmackDown roster, led by Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, entered the ring and surrounded Gunther. The ring general tried to fight them all off, but he was overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Wrestlers who'd been terrorized for months finally got their hands on their attacker. It took nearly 20 wrestlers to fully restrain Gunther and allow police to handcuff him. As officers led the ring general away, he was screaming about how history would vindicate him, how his message would endure, how he was a martyr for real wrestling. The delusion was complete. Let me tell you why this reveal is perfect storytelling. Gunther being the mystery attacker makes sense when you analyze his character. He's always been portrayed as believing in old-school wrestling values. His disdain for what he views as shortcuts and gimmicks has been part of his persona. WWE took those traits and twisted them into villainy. The victims of Gunther's attacks now make sense through his twisted logic. Braun Breaker, second-generation star benefiting from family name. Austin Theory, young star fast-tracked based on looks and potential. Logan Paul, celebrity using fame to succeed in wrestling. Each represented something Gunther despised about modern WWE. The fact that Gunther showed no remorse makes him an even more dangerous villain. He genuinely believes he was right to paralyze and attack people. That kind of unwavering conviction in his twisted philosophy makes him terrifying. There's no reasoning with someone who thinks attempted murder was justified. The locker room unity against Gunther was powerful. Instead of any wrestlers agreeing with his philosophy, they rejected it unanimously. WWE sent a clear message that violence and attacks from behind are never justified, regardless of your beliefs about real wrestling. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre calling out Gunther's hypocrisy was important. Gunther claimed to represent European wrestling, but both Sheamus Ireland and Drew Scotland are European wrestlers who completely rejected his methods. It showed that geographic origin doesn't determine your values. The legal consequences for Gunther are going to be severe. With his confession on live television, with months of documented attacks, Gunther is facing decades in prison. His wrestling career is over. His legacy is destroyed. The ring general's empire crumbled in one night. Social media has exploded with reactions. #Gunther exposed is trending worldwide. Wrestling fans are divided between those who say, "I always suspected him," and those saying, "I never saw it coming." The debate about whether there were clues is intense. The implications for Gunther's previous accomplishments are complicated. His record-breaking Intercontinental Championship reign is now tainted. Every match, every victory, every ring general moment is viewed differently knowing what he was capable of. The legacy revision is total. Here's the question everyone's asking. Was Gunther telling the truth about having others who share his vision? Are there more mystery attackers we don't know about? Could this conspiracy be larger than just Gunther? WWE might not be done revealing villains. I want your reaction to Gunther being the mystery attacker. Drop your comments telling me if you suspected him. Hit that like button if you're shocked by this reveal. Subscribe to Ring Rumble 1 with notifications on because the fallout continues. Did this make sense? Were there clues? Are there more conspirators? What's next for WWE? Let me know everything because SmackDown just delivered the most shocking unmasking in wrestling history, and Gunther's fall from ring general to imprisoned criminal is complete.